and welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the Poorly Written. If you're just joining us, my name's Luke. I'm a writer, director, and film editor. And in this series, we're taking a look at my first feature screenplay and trying to make it a bit better. The script, Crime at 6,200 Feet, is a neo-noir about a ski bum living in South Lake Tahoe who decides to investigate a crime. I wrote it when I was a ski bum living in South Lake Tahoe. That snow machine and my jacket were probably from the same decade. Each episode, I read a bit of the original script, talk about what does or doesn't work, then present a revised version and tell you why I changed what. In the last episode, we looked at scenes where the protagonist, Sam, decides to investigate the burglary of his roommate's drug dealer. Today, we're going to take a look at the next 6 scenes where he starts to plan that investigation. As always, if you want to follow along, I've uploaded a side-by-side PDF that you can find in the description down below. All right, let's get into it. Scene 9. Interior, Sam's bedroom, night. Sam is watching the Maltese Falcon on his computer. It is the scene where Spade explodes on Gutman and Wilmer. He laughs as he walks to the elevator. Cut to... So I'm just going to assume that you're all very familiar with the Maltese Falcon and know exactly the scene that young Luke was referencing. Or if you're not, you've probably already paused this video so you can go find the film and then watch it, right? Or maybe you don't want reading a script to turn into a homework assignment. Remember, if there's something important to the understanding of your script, it needs to be in your script. It's a revolutionary idea, I know, but one that young Luke had apparently not yet learned. Let's take a look at a revised version. Scene 9. Interior, Sam's bedroom, night. In the darkened room, we find Sam, sitting on his mattress, drinking a beer. He's illuminated by his laptop. He's watching the Maltese Falcon with rapt attention. On the computer screen, we see the detective, Sam Spade, is talking with Gutman in a hotel room. Nearby, the young gunslinger, Wilmer, looks on.
And another thing. Keep that gunsel out of my way while you're making up your mind. I'll kill him if you don't, I'll kill him.
The boy's lips twitch in a shadowy smile.
Well, sir, I must say you have a most violent temper.
Spade picks up his hat.
Think it over. You've got till 5 o'clock. Then you're either in or out. For keeps!
He leaves the room, slamming the door on his way out. Spade walks down the hallway. Reaching the elevator, Spade presses the button, then raises his hand and looks at it. The hand is trembling. Spade grins to himself. Back to Sam. His eyes glued to the screen, Sam takes a drink of beer. Cut to... So now the script has everything that it needs to communicate what was happening in that scene from the Maltese Falcon. The rest of the changes are pretty straightforward, but I did want to clarify the use of off-screen. There's a lot of confusion on when to use off-screen, off-camera, voiceover, and I'm sure there'll be people who disagree with me, but I wanted to share how I like to use them. Off-screen. The character speaking isn't physically in the same space as the camera. For example, TV, radio, phone call, intercom. Off-camera. The character speaking is in the same physical space as a camera, but it's important for the story to not show them to the audience. For example, a character speaks, then the camera pans to reveal them. Voiceover. The character speaking is not in the diegetic world. The people on screen would not be able to hear this dialogue. For example, a character's inner monologue or an omniscient narrator. Remember our discussion about diegetic and non-diegetic sound in episode 2? Voiceover would be non-diegetic. The next few scenes from the original are a great example of something that we talked about last episode, retreading. And they introduce an entirely new problem, excessive shoe leather. Before I read those scenes, I want to outline them for you. Scene 10. Sam walks down the street and hitchhikes. Scene 11. Sam goes to Charlie's house, but doesn't knock. Scene 12. Formatting error. Scene 13. Sam walks down another street. Scene 14. Sam stops at a coffee shop. Scene 15. Sam walks back down the street. Scene 16. Sam goes to Charlie's house, knocks, then enters. I'm not even going to bother rewriting scenes 10 and 13. I'm just going to cut them because these scenes are pure shoe leather. Shoe leather. Excessive logistical details that don't advance the plot, characters, or themes in an important way. I'm also going to cut scene 11, but for a different reason. It's making scene 16 feel like we're retreading the same ground. But we actually need scene 16 to move the plot forward. So, scene 11, gone. I think I need a catchphrase for these. That scene is toast. That scene is making like a tree and getting the heck out of here. That scene is shredded. All right, that kind of fits the whole ski bum thing. Anyways, let's take a look at the original scene where Sam goes to the coffee shop, because that is actually staying in the script. Interior, coffee shop, morning. The door chimes softly as Sam enters the Mountain High coffee shop. An interesting mix of underground music plays over the loudspeakers. A wide variety of people fill the shop. Old, young, people obviously on their way to the ski slopes. At the counter, there are 2 people working. Coffee shop girl is an attractive 19-year-old with long dark hair, works a register, and an older hippie guy with dreadlocks makes the coffee. Sam, placing both his hands on the counter.
Hello.
Coffee shop girl, smiling.
Hi there.
How is your house coffee?
It's good.
How long ago was it made?
I don't know. Want to try some?
Yeah.
The girl smiles and turns to the thermos behind her. Sam catches his eyes looking at the fit of her jeans. Coffee shop girl, as she hands him the coffee.
Here you go.
Sam, tasting.
It's good.
Pretty picky about your coffee, huh?
Yeah.
Me too.
They smile. Sam takes his coffee and sits by the window. He pulls out a small notebook and begins to write.
What we know. People at the house. Bubbler, weed, cash taken, large footprint, cigar, short time spent in house.
Sam tapped his pencil, sipped his coffee, and looked out the window. The traffic slowed as the light snow began to fall. Sam turned back to his pad and wrote next to his previous notes.
People at the house. How many? Bubbler, weed, cash taken, pictures, type, how much? Large footprint, measure it. Cigar, blunt, what type? Short time spent in house. Who knew they were gone?
Coffee shop girl, off screen.
What you working on?
Sam looked over his shoulder, startled. Behind him, the girl busses the table, stacking dishes and wiping down the table with a rag. Sam smiles and with his opposite hand closes the notebook. Sam.
Oh, just doing a little writing.
Are you an author?
Something like that.
Well, are you or aren't you?
I guess I'm really more of a reader.
What do you read?
About crime.
The girl picks up the dishes and heads back towards the counter.
Interesting.
Over her shoulder.
So, does it pay?
Not usually.
Sam finishes his coffee, busses his cup, and leaves the coffee shop. Cut to... First off, how many different ways did I slug in locations? Good lord. I don't think there's a reason to keep it hidden here, because it's not like it's a big reveal what the name of the coffee shop is. I also really don't like using interesting mix and wide variety in the same action block. And this action block is way too long. I usually don't like to go above 4 lines, and this one here is 8. The next problem here is with the parentheticals. Overusing these is a huge problem in my early writing, and honestly something I see a lot from new writers. In this case, the putting hands on counter shouldn't be a parenthetical at all. In fact, in almost all situations, parentheticals are to signify how a line should be read. You can use them to indicate what a character is doing when they read the line, but I would steer away from that and try to put the actions into action blocks. The next one, smiling, isn't needed either, because smiling is what you'd expect a character to do when they're greeting a customer. Now, if you wanted the read to be something unexpected, like bored or sarcastic, then it would make sense to call that out. The next problem is something that I'm sure many of you noticed. There's a tense problem. Screenplays should always be written in the present tense, like it's a movie happening right in front of you. I'm not sure why young Luke wrote some of it in past tense, but it's just wrong. Let's take a look at the new, better version. Interior, Mountain High coffee shop, morning. The door chimes softly as Sam enters the cozy coffee shop. Jazz plays over the sound system as a mix of people enjoy their coffees. Some chat, some work on laptops, and some are on their way to the ski slopes. Sam walks up to the counter where an attractive coffee shop girl, 19, with long dark hair runs the register while a hippie guy, 30s, with dreadlocks, makes the coffee.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, how is your house coffee?
It's good.
How long ago was it made?
I don't know. If you don't like it, we can always make you something else.
All right. Cool.
The girl smiles and turns to the thermos behind her and begins filling a mug. Sam catches his eyes looking at the fit of her jeans. She turns back around and hands him the mug.
Here you go.
Sam takes the mug and sips the coffee.
It's good.
Pretty picky about your coffee, huh?
Yeah.
Me too.
Off their smile, we cut to 14A. Interior, mountain-high coffee shop, a short time later. Sam sits next to the window, writing in a small notebook. On it, we can read,
What I know. People were at the house. They weren't gone long. Items stolen. Bubbler, weed, cash. Large footprint. Cigar butt.
He stops and taps his pencil, thinking. He takes a sip of coffee and gazes out the window. A light snow has begun to fall. Looking back at his pad, Sam writes questions next to each bullet point.
Who?
Inside job, pictures, type, measure it. Who smokes these? Coffee shop girl, off camera.
What you working on?
Sam looks over his shoulder and sees the coffee shop girl busting the dishes from a nearby table.
Just doing a little writing.
Are you an author?
Something like that.
Well, are you or aren't you?
I guess I'm really more of a reader.
What do you read?
About crime.
Interesting.
She walks over and holds out her hand. Sam takes a big drink and hands her the empty mug.
So, does it pay?
Not usually.
Cut to. So most of the changes that I made were just to fix things that were broken. Unnecessary parentheticals, wrong tense, action blocks that were too long. But I did want to draw your attention to one formatting change that I made. In the original, when Sam is writing in the notebook, I felt like that was a little hard to read. I really wanted to make it clear that this was something the audience was going to be seeing, not just another action block. So I indented everything that he was writing in his notebook. Then when he comes back and adds the questions, I put those in italics to draw the I to the new part. I thought this read easier, so I like it. Moving on to scene 15, and this is more shoe leather, so it's gone too. Shredded. And that's a wrap on today's episode. Next time, we'll be taking a look at scenes 16 through 20, where Sam pitches the idea of the investigation to a very skeptical Charlie. Until then, be good and write well.